Hi, everyone. Happy that all of you are here with us today. And it's pretty special because we are at the end of World Doula Week 2023. And what better way that this ends in our Indian context over here, better than so many of the like these powerful women, that's what I would call them, sitting here together, who hold space for other women and families for their intimate, sacred moments to unfold. So I really have almost no words at this point because I'm seeing I know many of you personally. So it's really wonderful to see you all together. Some of you more longer, I guess, longer than others. But with that personal equation and the professional equation that you guys bring into this space, I am like really, really honored to invite you all to speak on at the end of the World Doula Week. And I hope that we will have some really remarkable discussions here and hopefully ignite a spark, I guess, in other people who might want to pursue this kind of the doula profession. Also have some insights for parents and to-be parents and parents who are currently pregnant, who are looking for who is a doula, what kind of space do they hold, how do I reach out to one of them, because still it is a nascent space in the context of India. And though I will in a minute hand it over to Divya because she has been around the longest in this space. I still feel that there is a lot of confusion as to who is a doula, what is the difference between a doula and a midwife, what does a doula do in a hospital, how are they different from nurses. There is still a lot of confusion. Even the verbiage, people don't know exactly what it means. I'm really hoping for a very vibrant discussion here. So welcome all of you, and we have doulas from all parts of the country today. We have Shabari from Pune, Divya of course is from Delhi, Yogyata is from Delhi or Noida. Where are you at, Yogyata?
I'm from Gurgaon.
Gurgaon. Celestina is in Hyderabad. Neha is in Bangalore. Latika is in Hyderabad. Neela, you're in Chennai, yes?
Chennai and Bangalore.
Chennai and
I'm here
Bangalore.
and there, yes.
Fantastic. Nikita is in Mumbai, yes, Nikita? And Divya is in Bangalore. Mitra is in Bangalore. Harika, you're in Hyderabad, yes?
Oh, I'm practicing now in Vijayawada.
You are in Vijayawada. Fantastic. So, and Megha is in Noida, I believe. So, Noida? Fantastic. Sanam is just joining in and she is from Mumbai as well. So, beautiful. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask Divya to talk a little bit. She's going to be co-moderating this panel of for this panel discussion today. Divya, of course, I have known her for quite a long time now, and she has been sort of the pioneer in the doula space and doula work for a very long time. I don't know what year you started, but since we started in 2007, 2005, 6 is when I started. I had not heard your name perhaps until 2008, I think, but I don't know when you started your work.
2007, when we first did work.
Yes, when
That's when we actually got together. I started working in 2001.
Fantastic, fantastic. So amazing. So, so she has been around. She's also a doula mentor. She has a few other things that she also does. You also do a little bit of, well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Because that would give a full introduction, but that would do a much better, go ahead.
Actually, I'll go the other way around and say that I keep it brief because we have so many beautiful voices to hear from and we have limited time. And this is a subject we're all very passionate about. But I want to start with saying that even though we felt we were alone, there were quite a few people who started as early as that. And I know that Celestina was there for a long time, right from the beginning. We were working in silos and then we managed to get together and somewhat support each other. And of course, we are now a strong community, which is wonderful for all of us. So doula work is the work of support. And since support is decided by the women or the families who are seeking it, we really can't pinpoint and say this is doula work. So that's one thing I want to say up front. And then because we're all individuals and we're driven by our own passions and skills, what we offer can also be individualized. So, I think in the interest of time and everybody's voice, let's go around and say that what is the one thing each of us supports? So, and it changes from time to time. So let's stay with the current one. Currently, I support families. And Shabri. So we can just pass the buck around, Vijaya, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
Okay, Shabri, what do you support?
I currently support not only the families but also the doctors.
Fantastic. Just tag somebody after you.
Yogyata,
I support babies.
babies, perfect. Celestina,
I say mothers, and nice to work with midwives. And I think the collaborative care with working with doctors as well.
perfect. Neha,
I think I currently, of course, support mothers and babies, but I'm also supporting doulas.
Latika, you're muted, Latika.
Yeah, so I support the mothers and the babies and the spouses, so the extended family also. And also, of course, my doula sisters, midwives, and the doctor. So the entire group, which is totally supporting the mother, I support that entire group.
Perfect. Neela,
Hi, I support, can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. So I support families, but my ambition is to extend support to the queer community. And also I support the nursing staff. They're not spoken about at all, and they work very hard, but still don't get enough recognition. I do support the nurses as well. Yeah, so that's me.
Perfect. Mitra,
Primarily, I support the birthing families, irrespective of where they choose to give birth, how they choose to give birth. I feel the whole family, the spouse included, are going through their own rites of passage, and that's where my support lies. Yeah.
fantastic. Harika,
Yeah, pregnant couple and also a lot of healthcare professionals where I work right now. Birth work is very minimal that is there. So I work with a lot of healthcare professionals to understand respectful maternity.
wonderful. And that's where it should all start, because all of us need to get together behind that button first before we do anything else. Nikita, can you hear me, Nikita?
Yeah, sorry, my internet is a bit unstable. I support birthing mothers and babies and holding space so that they have an experience which they can cherish.
Wonderful. And Sanam?
Hi, ma'am. So I support the entire birth team, which includes and the core birth team with the doctors and the nurses to have a positive birthing experience, however it is needed.
Lovely. Divya?
I support happiness because happy babies need happy mothers, and whatever the choice the family makes, which is individual to their need, I would like to support them. It gives them happiness, including the caregivers. So we work as a triangle together.
Perfect. Aisha?
Hi everyone, hello ma'am.
Hi, Aisha.
So I work with underprivileged communities. So I run a non-profit. So most of the clients I work with are clients who go to a government hospital set up for birth. So as much as possible, as much as government hospitals would allow me in, I try to be with them at birth, give them a birth experience, give them a chance at having a vaginal birth, especially after a C-section.
Awesome. Well done. Megha?
Oh,
you're muted.
Happy World Doula Week to all my doula sisters. I support mothers and babies, and specifically mothers, to have a no judgment space and feel safe and supported.
Yeah, and I support all of you. Let's start with the first question. So, and anyone can take it. What role does a doula play in the birth team? Since we are talking specific to the area of birth first and then maybe postpartum, what role does the doula play in the birth team? Anyone, any of you raise the hand and take it. Aisha?
So I think the doula's role is to provide a nurturing, comfortable space for the mother, for the family, one which is free of judgment, one which is backed up with evidence-based information, right? Should give the comfort to the family that you can ask me anything, right? I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to respect your choices. I'm going to be there to listen to you throughout whatever your concerns are. So I think that kind of a space is very important, especially for first-time mothers, right? So that is the kind of atmosphere and space which a doula should provide for the family, for the mother, for the father, for anybody who has concerns about the birth.
Lovely. As a follow-up question to that, where do you understand that, what are these person's needs? How do you come into that space? How do you understand that these are the needs and this is what I'm going to advocate for the person? And I think this is like a question fraught with a little bit of concern for some people, where they say, whose advocacy is it? Are you going to advocate? How do you delineate that? Anyone want to take that question?
Can I? This is Neela here.
Yeah, take it.
Okay, so doulas basically are non-judgmental and unbiased, and strive to hold space for the birthing person, which means that we put aside our the activist in us, aside, and then we come and we support the family and we help them achieve what they want to have as an experience for a positive birth to go on, basically. So I think supporting the family and to hold space without judgment is thing that every doula needs to do, and also the educational support, physical and emotional support that she provides, it brings a lot on the table. So this is just what I wanted to add.
Where does that start? Prenatally? Where do you start with
Prenatally, when we go in and meet a client for the first time, we take in a client and then we have our client intake form where we fill in all the information, right from who are the support people who are going to be there, what is their birthing philosophy, what is the plan that they have, where do they come from, and what exactly who is going to be a part of their birth team, what is the kind of birth that they want to have, what is it they feel they should have achieved by the end of the birth. We get to understand and attune with the family first. So once the attunement is achieved, then we are able to work together to bring in that birth experience to that person.
Right. Divya, you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it's wonderfully said. It's wonderfully said. But just one thing that popped in my head, Vijaya, the minute you said, what role do you play? And I felt like doulas are bridges. There are bridges between family members and birthing mother. There are bridges between healthcare providers and family members. There are bridges between the mother's wishes and the healthcare provider. There are bridges. So if you see, cars move or motors move on bridges, but bridges don't move. Bridges stay steady. So we are the bridge in which the advocacy can happen. But perhaps it is the mother and the family's power to advocate for themselves. That's our gift to them rather than us advocating for them. So that was one piece that jumped at me.
No, very well said. Celestina, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I back up Nina and also Divya, but I think also a very key aspect is with their birth preference is to be able to listen to what they want and not go in, I know it all. Just listening to what they have. And because sometimes it's just little fears or little things that pop up that are very subtle in some ways, and to be able to understand, oh, wow, this is what she is going through. So listening, I feel, is such a big key, even for myself.
Absolutely. Yogyata, you wanted to add something?
To add on to what other doula sisters said, I'm putting it from the mothers or the family's perspective, that what doula did to them was they came up with answers like that you have been I didn't miss my mother because you were there, or I didn't miss my parental aunt, my Masi, because she had that motherly vibe to me, and along with that you supported without judging me. So I think my mother would have learned a little bit of non-judgment from you. So basically we're coming to them as someone who they are looking to handhold. Basically, that's what doulas do.
Absolutely. And I think the key to me, when whether it's in my space as a midwife, where we have our nurses cross-trained to provide support, I would not call them like doulas as a name, because there are still parts that a doula does that, even though the nurses have been cross-trained to provide support, they may not be able to completely fulfill because they have their other roles as well. But in our system, it works really well. But the most important quality that I feel that any support person brings to the room is an element of being super sensitive moment by moment to the what the person's needs are, rather than following a a path which says this is the protocol, this is what you come in, this is what you do, this is how you do it. It's not that every mother who comes in needs music. It's not that somebody. So sometimes I feel when we drill it down way too much, we run the risk of making that also institutionalized. So now you go into the room, you have a music switched on, you have a TV which is playing serene things. While none of that is bad, it might all add to the thing. I think ultimately we are missing what does that parent need in that minute, and it may be different when they walk into the room. It may be different 4 hours from them. It may be very different at the moment of birth. So I think that's really where I feel that a well-rounded doula is so amazing, that they just hold that space for that to unfold. So I see where all of you are coming at it from. I see some raised hands there, Nikita and then Mitra, if you want to talk where your perspective.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful things have already been said, but I just want to say one thing that we've learned so many times from Divya. Meet the mother where she is. And that means that we're meeting the mother where she is at every step of the way during the birth. Like you said that, the preferences change. They at one point they want music and another point they don't. So we doulas have to kind of mold ourselves to meet the mother where she is during her journey of the birth.
Absolutely. Mitra?
Yeah, adding to that, so the mother doesn't come from a vacuum. She has her own, idea of support. So when we talk about support, what is the quality of support that we're offering?
Correct.
What does support mean to her? So I always ask the mother, what does support mean to you? How do you want me to support you? And I get to know that, then I'm able to support her truly and hold space for her in the way she wants me to hold space for her, not the way I have it framed in my head. Yeah.
Very, 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 very true. We had the birth that happened in the mid-afternoon today. Mom extremely well prepared, coming from Chennai to have her birth over here. But though I knew that she was not into full-blown labor, when she calls me at 4 o'clock, she just tells me, "I feel I need support. I feel I want somebody to rub my back. I asked her, "Where is your husband?" "He's right here." But she needed somebody else, and I said, "Okay, if you need that support, go on." And I didn't ask her. I knew she would not be in good active labor. But what you said, Mitra, is so very important, because it is all of us. We must meet birth workers. We must meet at where she is at. I might have my notion as a birth center that I will not admit anybody before 6 centimeters. But that 6 centimeters doesn't mean anything if a woman is not emotionally supported when she really needs to be supported. And when she came in, none of us checked. She just had the support that she wanted, and eventually it landed up going in and becoming leading into a C-section, which was also fine. They're both absolutely happy. But I think that's where what you say is so true, that we have to meet and ask, what is the support that you need? And you asking it in the prenatal period, but then asking in labor, what is that support, and sort of following through is so very important. Shabari?
Yeah, so like everybody said that the mom needs support. So many people will feel that she needs support only for a normal birth or a natural birth, but it's not like that. Sometimes some moms come and they need support during a C-section as well. Like I had a mom who told me that I am scared of pain. I know that I am going to go in for a C-section and I need a doula. So eventually it led to a natural birth, but still they come and they tell you that they need support for a C-section as well. So that is only what I wanted to put on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Divya, you want to take the next question or ask the next question?
Yeah, sure. So, we live in a country where midwifery centers and midwives are far and few between. So there are serious challenges to the paradigm of birth itself because it is completely managed. So I was just wondering, we have a variety of people who work in institutions, in collaborative institutions as well, and we worked in institutions which were purely, let's say, medically modeled. So I'd just like to know what your experience has been if you're working as an independent doula or if you were working in an institution, and the quality of care that you gave and you could give, and what were your challenges and what were the pluses. That was just an interesting discussion to have, considering that our model is a little bit different than most developed countries where we talk about doulas and midwives so freely. Somebody wants to take that on. Celestina,
I was trying to find this thing to put my hand up.
I saw you unmute and then I saw that.
Yeah, okay. No, okay, yes, so having been a doula independently for decades was challenging. As, we all know what we do as doulas, but working with an institution, getting to know what their policies are was very difficult because they needed to accept what you were doing. And so befriending them, getting to know them, and working through that path made it easy. Because I think a lot of times also some of them don't even know who a doula was. Right. But the ones who did know, they thought they actually thought we were a midwife, but like I was a threat. And she actually said that, I'm sorry, I do not want you in my hospital. I was like, okay, that's fair enough. It's your choice. But the mother wanted to. So I asked her, I said, fair enough. I said, but if the mother is requesting and she's requesting me, I thought it would be better for you to meet me and understand what I actually do. So explaining to them, because they really don't know what a doula does. So yes, it was challenging. And finally, I found like a handful, as in one hand, I can just count two people or two places that said, yes, you're most welcome to come. And I will, and they started sending me mothers. So that was that challenge in Bangalore. So coming to Hyderabad and working with an institute that already supports a doula is a big difference, because here you are again working as a team. You know each other's roles. You don't step on each other's roles. This is my role. I am a doula. I know, like Vijaya said, a lot of times people get us mixed up. If I have a doula, why do I need a midwife? And I'm like, oh. So to get them to understand, but firstly, we don't do any clinicals. We don't do any medicals. We are just that support person. And that word support broken down is so meaningful. Then when you break it down for them, they say, oh, okay, we are not there to receive your baby. We are there to support you to birth your baby and give you that birth experience. So having the backup of midwives and the doctors who understand what the role of a doula is makes a big difference, because you feel welcomed. You feel you're actually bringing something in that actually we do more of the work, honestly, than what they do, because you're there full time with them from 3 a.m. to 4 p.m., whatever, you're there. So we're there so they see what we bring in to the table, and that makes a big difference. So all these years, I wish I had come here before and made my life easier. But anyway, it's in nature and nature's plan for me, I guess.
Lovely.
Does that understand? Were you okay to understand what I said?
Yeah. It makes full sense.
Yeah.
Aisha?
I have actually been very, very, very fortunate in the institutional system, because I've had the pleasure of working with a gynec who is so much like a midwife, right? She has been very, she's impressed me so much. I swear, I tell all my clients, please, if you want a natural birth, you want a proper birth, please come to her. And I've also had the experience of people, doctors canceling on my clients because they're coming with a doula, right? They've canceled in the last minute. They've cancelled close to 38 weeks, 39 weeks, because saying that, no, we can't allow a doula. No, we can't allow your husband inside. So fortunately, my clients held their ground and were willing to change their care provider at that point, saying, no, I need my doula with me. I am going to change my doctor to facilitate that. So as I was saying, I've been fortunate to work with a team of doctor and hospital staff who understood what natural birth was. So honestly, I'm fearing the time where I have to meet care providers who are not supportive of doulas. Because right now what I do is I've tied up with a bunch of gynecs, and I make sure I ask my clients, if you want a natural birth, you want something without interventions, come to them. So I take them to the doctors who I've tied up with, and I've only been working with them so far. But yes, I am dreading the time where I'm going to be facing more challenges, and because I hear it from my doula friends all the time as to how things take shape.
I have a follow-up question to that, which perhaps some of you who have been working longer in the field can maybe answer. My question is, Aisha is very fortunate to find somebody whom she takes to, who she recommends her parents to. Now, recommendations in itself is not bad, right? But how would you, so you have recommended X doctor to Y mom, and then they don't have a good birth experience despite everything. What do you do with that? Because now you have recommended it, isn't it? So anyone who have been working, and Divya, maybe this is a question you can take, or maybe one of you who have been, Neha has been working for a
Neha
while.
can take it, because we work with doctors and we've discussed this from Kingdom Come as to where our boys, how far do we recommend or suggest, or what do we do? So I think Neha should take that.
So I work as an independent educator and a doula, and that's been something that's really important for me, because I have seen that when parents are truly informed with good information, and when the two of them, and I'm saying parents because mothers, when they have the support of their fathers making these decisions, they're wise enough and sensible enough to make this decision on their own, whatever it is, knowing pros and cons. And why I'm saying that is because they will not always choose care providers who I like or don't like. And it is really not my choice to make. I may have suggestions, I may give some feedback basis what people have told me, but I would never tell them what is the right choice for them, because like we were discussing earlier, everyone is different, everyone is looking for something different, and different things make different people feel safe.
Absolutely.
So if someone is not feeling safe in a natural birth center and feels safe in a multi-speciality large hospital with a multiple doctors, and I'm telling them no, go to the natural birth center because you'll have a natural birth there, they may not have a good experience, because that is not something that makes them comfortable. And when they're not comfortable and feeling safe, we know what happens to birth. So I firmly believe that that parents are capable of making that decision, and which is where then going back to the original question, sorry, which I forgot right now.
Which is, what do we support?
Which is, what do we support? We are supporting families to feel empowered enough to make that choice. And something else I wanted to say, but now it slipped my mind.
Yeah, but I know what you wanted to say.
I think, can I just add one more point? It's most of the time the care providers, if it's okay for them to support, tag along with the client to meet the care provider once, and once they meet you and they get to understand the scope of work that is done by a doula, where we ensure and tell them that we don't interfere with any of the medical practices, and we're just there to support and to help the family with our support. I think they're pretty much okay, and they accept us And I've even been called back by some of the doctors. They themselves have called me back saying that, okay, we're comfortable with you, and because you make the client comfortable, I think you should be there, and things like that. So that also happens.
Absolutely. Celestina, you wanted to add something, and then Latika?
I forgot what I was going to say, but now let me think about it. Sorry.
Latika?
You're muted.
Yes. So I've been teaching prenatal yoga for many years, probably 16, 17 years. And then, I mean, almost right from the beginning, I've been helping mothers in their journey of labor and childbirth also, much before I knew that I was a doula. And of course, Dr. Vijay has helped me also with Lamaze. But what I would like to say is very similar to what Neha has said, that I have mothers who go to different gynecologists, and I am there holding the space for them that they require. In fact, I have doctors who recommend some mothers to me, and I have worked with the gynecologists over a period of years with quite a few of them, very different from each other. And the thing that I think actually works is, again, like what Neha said, they don't feel threatened, they feel supported by us. And the mothers feel a strong sense of trust. And the mothers need to trust their gynecologists also, because we are going to maternity hospitals with them, and we are, going with them along their journey. And we all need to work hand in hand together, because that is what the mother needs. And whatever the mother needs is what we provide for them. So I think holding a space of trust and support and mutual respect goes a long way in helping the mother and helps facilitate her process of birth, childbirth that she goes through. And yes, I have had mothers also who've gone through C-sections, and I've had mothers who wanted me to be with them in the OT while the C-section is being done. And I've had the gynecologist being absolutely fine with it. Support your mother in whichever way you want, we're absolutely fine. And that comes from a space of, I think, not feeling threatened or not feeling disrespected in any way, and just accepting that it is a mother that we are supporting. The mother, the father, of course, and the baby. Most important part, which Divya has explained to us in much detail, the baby. The baby is more important than anything and everything else. That's what
I think there was another point that I wanted to say, that even though we have a care provider who we have a good relationship with, in every case, they will not be making decisions that would also align with what we think is right. They're going to make clinical decisions based on many different things, and sometimes they may or may not make sense to us. So just to say that if the care provider is of a certain mindset does not ensure a certain birth experience.
Absolutely. I think I will add to that, saying that we see that even in our collaborative system, and we have seen that for many, many years now. In fact, I'm not sure, many of you already know this, but some may not. The way we started was very organic. It was never meant to be a birth center. It was like we started teaching classes, and then people said, would you accompany? Then it was the practices they were at were really like, for lack of a better word, not giving them any of those simple healthy birth practices that they were learning in class. And then I would say, would you want to switch to Dr. Jayanti? So the question I asked was from that perspective, because after coming there were so many times when I would feel that even though the parent felt very good, I as a person would know that there were so many things that were off. Not that I would say that, oh, this was off, that was off, but there is a conscience part of you that says, oh my goodness, they switched because of 1, 2, 3 things. Later on as you evolve, you understand that, okay, that's okay. They were happy, they came back, they really felt good about it. But there are so many times when you would think, what is it that you're doing? How did this birth go? Because XYZ person sort of put their trust in you and the team that you backed, right? And I've always said it's like it's an evolution on every part. It's like you can't be going in and saying I want XYZ change. It is like you observe what is happening in that clinical environment. They observe how you are dealing with the client, and like many of you pointed out, it is that mutual respect that develops over time. And today, like Dr. Jayanti walked in and she said, I trust your gut more than mine, like that situation comes in where you understand very closely what they're wanting. But can you prevent every a non-optimal birth experience? Absolutely not. Neither as a midwife, nor as a doula, nor as anybody. If you're saying you can, then you are somewhere where I have yet to understand and reach. But I think the best that we can do is hold space, debrief. How important is that? Like debrief day 1, day 10, day 29, or 29 years later, be able to be accessible for a debrief. Somebody might come back to you like 12 years after their birth and say, you know what, I still missed that, or I still feel great about it. And having that space to debrief, I think, is super important. So Nikita, you had a question that or a comment, and then Celestina, your hand is still up. If
No,
you
I
don't...
just want. I need to. How do I take it off?
Same way you put it on.
Oh, okay.
Nikita's.
Okay. Yeah, so I just wanted to add to the original question, which is the importance of independent work, especially for doulas. I feel as a doula, my loyalty is towards the mother and the birthing family. And as soon as I get employed by an institution, my loyalties are going to be, split. And I cannot have a situation where I'm not sure who I am going to be serving, And having said that, there are good institutions and there are great doctors. But as soon as we institutionalize things, there is something called an agenda that comes in. And I don't want to be supporting that agenda. I want to be supporting the mother and the birthing family. And therefore, what I believe is so important for doulas to work independently, because then we know that we are working purely from the space of honesty and trust. And we are not, because we are not going to be questioned by the institute about why we work the way we did.
Yeah, no, very, very, very important. I think it's a two-edged sword, right? You as a doula want to provide as much support to as many number of people as you can, and that may sometimes come better in an institution because there is a number of people who are readily available, who are seeking out more support. And then the other edge of the sword is exactly what you said. There would be an institutional policy, there would be things, and unless you're 100% sure that your conscience allows you to do that, it becomes really difficult. And so, yeah, it's something every birth worker, every doula has to sort of sit and parse. Where is my comfort level with this, and what do I do, and how do I, be able to give an true informed consent or true advocacy if they ask you your opinion about it. And there will be those times they'll ask your opinion, and all you can do is put everything in front of them. And if you're constrained by the system, the system is really meant to support the system. The system is not meant to support the birthing person, and that becomes a lot, all of our sort of what shall we say, like the push-pull that we feel in that moment, right? So I want to ask another question. So two things, I think, which if people are, especially expectant parents are, watching here, how is the doula different from the labor nurse? Super important. Who wants to take this?
Let's first give a context that not all hospitals have labor nurses.
True.
They're also on rotation.
True.
So the kind of support that is offered, and now more and more maternity hospitals have this idea of a dedicated nurse for you, but they're just nurses assigned to you. And then there may be who may have upskilled them a little bit. So let's first decide what a labor nurse is, which is a little bit different than if you would go to UK or USA or any of the European countries where labor nurses are a little bit differently inclined, if you see the difference in their roles. But majority of hospitals, at least in Northern India, are just nurses who have done maternity work or have worked in a maternity unit.
Absolutely. Me, the word that I use for them is obstetric nurses. That is the word that I
There is the
use for
answer,
them.
Vijaya. There's the answer. They're not labor nurses, they're obstetric nurses. There is the answer.
Right. Okay, Neha, you wanted to say something.
Since nobody else raised their hand, I thought I can answer for some of us, because I know we all know the answer to this question. And a lot of families do have this question often that, my doctor has told me that there will be a dedicated nurse for you. So why do I need a doula? And fact is that there is a huge difference. First of all, I would say one is that as a doula, you are meeting the family prenatally. Very important aspect of doula support is, as we discussed earlier, these prenatal interactions where we meet, we get to know each other, we get comfortable with each other, we understand their preferences, which the mother is not necessarily doing with the nurse, because there are multiple nurses, there are shifts, so she doesn't just a new person who she's meeting. And so there is a completely different relationship that you have as a doula versus what the nurse has. That's one. And secondly, I would say even during labor, the nurse's primary responsibility, her job profile is nursing. So there are certain nursing duties, which is her primary job, whether it is, checking, monitoring heartbeat, giving certain medications, reporting to the doctor. Her secondary then thing is that, okay, you can also support the mother, give her a bit of a massage and, stuff like that. While for a doula, there are no such nursing responsibilities. Her primary role, dedication is to focus on the mother and her needs. And so that makes a big difference, because the doula focuses on the mother and her needs. The nurse's focus is on multiple other things. She will get fired if she doesn't do her main job properly. So that's another big one. And then, of course, even post-birth, that continuity of care is something that doulas bring in. The nurse is someone you will meet in the labor room, and that's about it. But your doula was there with you before. She was there with you during labor. She comes back, sees you afterwards to debrief your birth, which is so important. Sometimes mothers want to recollect certain things because it's kind of caught up in their head, and they're like, this was happening. Why did this happen? And they need to talk about it and understand it. And you're able to help them with that, which is a huge aspect, I think, of doula support, so that we do not leave, mothers don't move forward with, carrying trauma from their birth. So that resolution in those postnatal meetings is super important. And then, of course, supporting them with postpartum blues, breastfeeding, etc. So big, big, big difference.
Yeah, Divya?
Just to add that very quickly, that even when we say she's a labor nurse, she's still on an 8-hour shift. Whereas doulas don't have 8-hour shifts. So not only through the continuum of time of prenatal, birth and postnatal, even in that labor, if it's longer than 8 hours or 12 hours, the shift changes. She does go home. And then a new exclusively one-on-one nurse comes in. But that's the problem with it, that they're only supporting the labor. They're not supporting the woman. That's the difference. And if you said obstructive, then we know where it went.
And I have to say, this doesn't mean that nurses are not good. There are some wonderful nurses. I personally had only a nurse by my side when I gave birth, and her presence and her holding my hand helped. There's no doubt about that, but there is a difference, of course, between what nurses do and do.
And that's to add to that, I think it is the emotional support. Like the nursing staff, though they might be there and in that moment, giving you encouragement and maybe saying you're doing good or whatever, the continuity of emotional support and the process of safety, I think these are two things that the doula would bring into that space. Divya Kanal, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so to add on to what Neha was saying, since we meet them prenatally, we have a connect with the couple, and the mom is especially comfortable with our touch because she has been, used to that before. So you're not meeting them in a space where you're completely new to them and they don't know what, so they can be authentic, they can be their own self. They don't have to act in a certain manner which is accepted or acceptable. So since, in birth, it's all about finding your own voice, finding your own power. Doula does whatever work needs to be done prenatally. So the mother knows what are her options. She can make an informed consent. And during birth, she feels supported, that it's not only, you know, her batting for herself, she has someone on her team. So that's what I felt when I had a doula for my birth, and I'm happy to do it for others now.
Very true. And also, I think while we are all talking about doing, I think a lot of it may be just sitting there doing nothing and being. 10 minutes to go before the hour is up. Thank you. Okay. So,
and also that's one of Divya's favorite lines. I think, you know, I've heard this from Divya a lot of things. She said sometimes a doula just needs to be la.
I know.
yeah, no, very, very, very true. Because I think we forget that some people may need nothing. It's not about rubbing somebody's back or doing something all the time, but just being that like a, you know, like a signpost or a lighthouse or something where there can be a focus. There is a beacon there if you need it. If you don't need it, you're okay with it. And then the work is anyway done by the mom. There is nothing that you can actually do to make it happen, but to hold that space, to let that oxytocin flow, to let everything remain calm. And if there is an emergency, to say you're still okay, you're going to be there. And I think, again, for me, when I look at it, and I want to take this 1 minute because we're talking of midwives and nurses and the doulas and the nurses. I also want to talk about in a midwifery practice like ours too. I think a lot of it, I have always felt that a lot of my role is being that, though I don't call myself a doula, being that presence that the doula brings in. And though the nurses, like in the hospitals, we also have our nurses on shift. So it is not that, and there have been women who have brought their own doula, or we have offered a doula over here sometimes, that if somebody has said, I want additional, you know, hand holding, I want additional support and whatever, right?
That was the question I was going to come to you, Vijaya, that, you know, in a midwifery center like yours, where everybody's inclined to give that woman all the support they need, do you welcome doulas?
Oh, absolutely. 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 I think it's again what that woman wants. And is she looking for additional support? We have had people who have said that they might want additional support because their partner is not available at that time for the birth. Or they might say, okay, I think I need a little more support even when I'm at home. What can somebody do for that? Or it might just organically evolve in our talks as we are talking, that this person feels a little more, they feel that they need a little extra boost of personal confidence, for lack of a better word, or that they need a little more holding. And then we say, would you want somebody like that? And, you know, so to me, again, any center, so for some, they will ask me this question: what is the difference? You have already said that your nurses provide the support, right? And I'll say, yes, they do, they know all the things to do, but still you have maybe if there are 2 births going on or 3 births going on, and though we have enough and more number of people who are working in that space, sometimes, again, like Leha pointed out earlier, they might be fractionated between that care that they need to provide versus just remaining in the room. And if somebody is really looking for that, then absolutely that's what they need. We see less of it, primarily because I think people come into the system knowing it's fairly comprehensive, that they don't need to do a ton of advocacy for themselves because we already practice the holistic models of care, and knowing that there is going to be somebody with them 24/7, even if there are 2-3 people laboring. Yes, I would say we have had maybe over the last 15 years, I would say a couple handfuls where we have had people requesting an additional doula. Not a lot from the number of births that we have had, but they have all been beautiful births. That's all and we've had doula interns and doula interns who have come in and interned with us, and even that's also that space that you feel, okay, great, okay, these guys are in, I'm okay with this space, you know, to enter into the room or work, you know, you have that. There is a lightness, for lack of a better word, you know, that when there is somebody already holding space and doing the things that they are doing versus you going in and wanting to do that. So that's our perspective of midwifery and how doulas can really incorporate, you know, and any of you want to come and work here, please do. Always open. So I think we are like slightly, you know, getting into that time space where I think many of you have to go on and do your stuff, and I know I do. In my list of things, I think 2 things stand out. One, I think we've already talked about how the doula supports the birth partner. I do want to talk two things. One is how does one find a doula in India? Very important. I think I would like to start off with that question. And secondly, maybe let's start with that. Then we'll figure it out. How does one find a doula in India?
I think word of mouth is a great way to know somebody who's been with a doula, to know places that support doulas. Institutions can offer it as well. I've worked with so and so. If you're looking for support, this is there. These are some of my ideas.
I mean, word of mouth has been for years, Divya, right? It's all word of mouth. And, when mothers know, oh, wow, this is what I got. And, then they willingly want to share it with another pregnant mom.
I think healthcare space itself is that way. It's very personal. And I think a lot of the people choose even a healthcare provider based on word of mouth. But specifically to the doulas, I think because it is a very nascent sort of collective profession at the moment, I think I would say maybe looking up the doula collective may be a good place to find people. So that's that. And then I think Yogyata, Harika, Sanam, go.
That's
Nikita.
what we want to unanimously say is please look into the doula collective.
Also,
we have interacted.
Also, local birth networks. They're not very active, but most cities have some form of birth networks. So kind of reaching out to them, you may get references of mothers who had doulas. And then you speak to them and you understand their experience and who are the doulas who are working. And I would say one of the worst ways to find a doula, which actually some people do, is to ask your doctor. I was thinking of having a doula. What do you think about it? Do you recommend someone? Bad idea.
You don't need one.
You don't need one. Exactly. Nikita, Harika, Sanam, in that order.
So the way I found Divya was, I was the first the first time I was expecting. I did not know anyone who had a doula. I did not know anyone who had a natural birth. So I went and I Googled and I found her. So I think for first from an online space, in case they don't know anyone who's had a doula themselves. And there are very, very few people who actually have had doulas for their births. And and the other places are, of course, local birth networks and word of mouth.
Perfect. Harika?
I think it starts with attending a good childbirth education class, where as an educator, I do ask this question in every class of mine. And they're like, oh, doulas exist abroad, right? Do we have doulas in India? So I think education is where they have to understand about doulas, and then from there, I think definitely they will, as Neha said, they will find a way to have that support for themselves when they know what a doula does.
Absolutely. And independent childbirth educators. Again, there comes that word independent. I think who have no skin in the game. They're doing it because they really want to do it, and, find a good independent childbirth class, and a lot of information comes in. And most of us, whether independent childbirth educators, doulas, I think we are networkers by in our heart, right? Because we know we can't do all of it by ourselves. We want other people to be in. I can't be a midwife and a doula and though I might have had education in that doesn't necessarily mean that I can be all of it and do it all well. And, having perinatal mental health specialists, knowing a network of people whom you can refer to, if whether it is for, I think doing that is such a good idea. I also feel just generally, I think any parent who is listening to this, I would say prepare yourself. You've spent so much time, energy, money to do so many other things, right? Just prepare yourself, understand what do you want for your birth? What are you looking for as a parent? Do you really it's not today's fad that, my neighbor had a natural birth, I want to have a water birth. It's not a today's fad. It is a very, very powerful, life-changing experience. And if you have not done the work to find out what do you really want, you have not sat with that question, if you have not interviewed multiple care providers, if you have not done the legwork of reading, understanding not just what your hospital puts out or whatever, but just like going outside of that box, and maybe reading some books, maybe looking at some YouTube videos, doing all that legwork will actually make you understand what it is that you want. And then from there comes education, and from there comes picking your birthing team. It is like an Olympic event. You want to pick the best possible in the team to give you the best possible chance of having a good birth experience, however that goes, whether it's a normal delivery, whether it's a cesarean section, whether it is whatever. But even sometimes everything might fall apart, but you might say, I feel really happy because my lactation went okay. So I just think the person, the birthing parents who have to, and like Neha said very clearly, it's not just the mother, but the partner who really comes into the picture and says, what is it that we want together, right? And sometimes in the middle of a consultation for the first time, I'll sit and they'll look, and then I'll say, maybe you don't want this because I talk too much. Even that, for some people, they'll be like, okay, what is she talking about? Maybe I didn't come into this space. And to allow them to go back and say, is this something that I really want? And if you come back because you want at least a vast majority of that, not just for natural birth, right? And then you are able to make good decisions for yourself. I had somebody who was in Mumbai, shifting, landed up going to Vizag, wanted to try for a VBAC. They had met with me online a long time ago, had a high risk condition over and above her previous thing. And I had said, no, this is not something I'm comfortable with. Then they went to Bangalore. They wanted to find care providers there. I gave them, all the people that I knew and whatever. Found no resonance. And then she calls me one day and she says, okay, will you not take me up for a repeat C-section? And I said, typically nobody comes to me just from out of state to have a repeat C-section. And then she says, don't I deserve the same quality of care and respectful maternity care? And I'll never ever forget that, because she came all the way from Bangalore to have a planned cesarean section at Sanctum. And to me, that was one of those moments where I said, it's okay. If somebody really wants to come in, knows why they are coming in, have met with everybody, exhausted all their options, and still wants to come to me, it's okay. And I think all of us are in that space where I think we have to explore, and the parents have to really explore. And for me, it was her understanding why she wanted to come to me that made all the difference. Divya, you want anything to add? Last questions, anything else? You're muted.
So we come back a whole circle saying that what do we really support? You just said that we don't support natural birth. We support women and families. We just came a full circle with that story that you told, Vijaya. And we've talked about so many varied topics, I think. And in the interest of time, I don't know how much we have and everybody's commitments. I think just the last, a word that signifies what doula work means to you. Just one word or two, maybe, not more than two for everybody. Do you want to call them out?
Celestina?
Roll call.
Celestina?
Okay, let me just mull it.
Neha?
Divya, you go first.
Love.
Love. Latika?
I was going to say love too. Trust and love.
Neela?
I'm going to say the attitude.
Harika?
It gives me a lot of comforting other women.
Lovely. Sanam?
Ma'am, I would say having empathy and love for everyone who you are supporting during the birth.
Beautiful. Megha?
Love.
Nikita?
Heart and hands.
Divya?
Self-belief. both for the mother in herself and me in the value I provide.
Amazing. Mitra? Yogyata?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
What is
say one or two words about the doula work that you do?
The doula work that I do, I would say it is very transformative, not just for the mothers I support, but for me as well. And it is, the other word would be, it adds wisdom to me.
beautiful? Shabari?
Times it is.
Oh, did we lose her?
I think we lost her. What does it mean to you, Divya?
Bliss.
Okay, come back to me after you do that.
Okay, it means bliss, being alive.
Celestina?
And sometimes he.
Shabari can't hear you.
She's just wishing for more time, Celestina. I can see it.
No. I thought somebody else was talking. No. For me, I think it's, it's start there. Somebody else is talking.
Every time you start, somebody else talks.
Shut up then. No, for me, it's empathy and compassion. And it just brings back, even just for my own, having kids, having gone through so much in my own life, and just like, wow, at the end of the day, how compassionate am I? And that word compassion keeps coming to me for I have the opportunity and I'm blessed that every day I'm with a mother. So it just, at the end of the day, that's my thing. Just thankful for just compassion and for empathy for each mom.
Beautiful. Shabari, if you are around and if we can hear you, you can go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes divine, sometimes a healing experience for me.
Perfect. So wonderful. I think we have had a broad ranging discussion. Thank you all for being here today. I know everyone's come in from different things and different births and all sorts of, commitments. So thank you for taking out the time and being here today. And I hope that everyone who is listening to here today has had at least some amount of broadening of the vision of what a doula does, and hopefully people who will hear from here on will be able to say, what is it that I want for my birth? What is it that a doula brings to the sphere? And to me, as a person who supports birth, I find that anyone who comes into this birth work has to have all those things that you mentioned about the last few words that were spoken here: happiness, compassion, empathy, feeling of self-confidence, feeling of confidence in the birthing woman. How beautifully all of you came together with those words. And those are the words I'm going to hold dear to my heart. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Divya, for being the light you always have been. And thank you for co-moderating it. Thank you, Neha, for setting up this, this collective of people, at least for this. I was like, I threw it at you and I said, Neha, will you put out the word there? And as always, you were game and you brought everybody together. And love you all. Keep doing the work that you're doing.
Can I take a picture of all of us like that?
Please do. Please do.
I know somebody doing it. I have no idea, but
I'll do it. I know how to do it.
Please do.
Perfect.
Perfect. Lovely. I think we need to have more of this.
Oh, yes. I think so. We should do this. It's fun. To me, it's very, very fun because I get to see all of you.
It's so inspiring just to hear what everybody else is doing and to see all the beautiful faces.
Celestina, we missed you at the retreat.
I know. I had to make a choice there. I know. I had to make a choice there.
It's not just birthing families who watch this later in the future, but also if you are drawn by any of the words you heard from us. It could be inspirational to seek that path as well.
Absolutely. And there need to be so many more of compassionate, empathetic, respectful birth workers for every woman that is birthing, wherever she is birthing, in whatever setting she is birthing. And I think, yes, I think this is the path where, if you're drawn to it, choose it with, I would say, commitment as a first place. Of course, explore. Once you explore, you will understand whether there is a commitment is coming or not. But it is definitely not for the faint-hearted. That much I can tell you. But it is also not. It's also something that will completely transform you as a person forever. And it keeps transforming every time you are in that room. It keeps transforming you. So. Thank you all again, and happy World Doula Week and World Doula years to come, I guess.
That's why we should make
Also,
meet
Kamna
often,
sent us,
not 1 year.
Kamna sent us the picture, but I don't think we can download it. How can we save this?
We can send it on WhatsApp because we have it on the group, right?
Yeah,
We can do that there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Ma'am, I'd
please.
like to share just like to say something, I think, from all of our behalf, if that's okay.
Yes.
I think when we have meetings like this, I feel I was normally a proud doula, and now I'm even a more prouder doula.
Oh.
And the work we do, I think we really, really make a beautiful difference to the world. So I just wanted to tell everyone that hats off to all of you for choosing something like this and being a doula, which is tough, but it is going to bring a lot of more love and compassion to the world. So thank each and every one of you.
Perfect. What a
Well
beautiful.
said for all of us.
Well said.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye
Bye.
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 Hello.